Marketer of the Day, number 477. Alternative Investor Insights, Energy Management, Staying Organized, and Goal Setting with Susan Lassiter-Lyons. Hey everyone, we're glad you're listening. We're talking right now with Susan Lassiter-Lyons, and Susan is an American investor, an entrepreneur, an author, and a coach, and Susan has closed 612 real estate investment transactions. She's raised over $30 million in private capital, and her insights are consumed by more than 52,000 subscribers in the US and Canada. She's a prolific real estate and angel investor, managing a portfolio that includes 740 real estate units, 14 tech startups, and 15 cannabis companies. Just a huge action taker. So how are things today, Susan?
Things are really good. We're here at the year end and all of our portfolios are popping, especially our cannabis portfolios on fire.
Gee, so you got all kinds of crazy things going on, making the rest of us look bad. So, I mean, how the heck do you even manage all this? How do you keep all this stuff going at the same time?
Oh, it's definitely an exercise in productivity, that's for sure. And I just went through this process. So at the end of the year, I plan out my content calendar, my promotions calendar, my investment calendar, basically for the year. And then I schedule everything. I'm also a believer in something that I call energy management as opposed to time management. I think that time management is kind of a misnomer. I don't think that we can manage time. Everybody has the exact same amount of time. I think that the thing that we have control over is our energy. So I focus a lot on like managing my energy and focusing on like when my hours of peak performance are and when I can really focus and kind of go with that. And since I went that route, I've been able to accomplish, a couple things, one or two.
Yeah, just a handful of things here and there. Well, yeah, great. Because so that's an important distinction, so that we're not looking to fill up all the time, but to know when we're at our best and to do the right actions in what little windows of time we can have for ourselves.
Exactly, you got it.
Well, cool. And so you kind of got my interest here when you talked about, if I heard you right, like you have these multiple calendars for content, for investment, and for promotion. Did I hear you right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's that like? What's the setup on that?
Yeah, so the setup really is, and here's the thing. So I started my kind of online business, like back in the day, I owned a mortgage company and I was investing in real estate. And I started this mortgage company where we served real estate investors exclusively. And then I raised, millions of dollars in capital to become a private lender to our real estate clients and close a bunch of projects and what have you. And then in 2008, the big crash happened. So I decided to go online, closed my brick and mortar mortgage company, went online, started teaching people how to raise private capital and invest in real estate. But all the while, I was like investing in all sorts of other things as well. Like you talked about in the intro, I've been an angel investor, so I invest in startups and, we're growing our portfolio now in cannabis stocks and going out into some other alternatives. And so this year, I really transitioned from just teaching and coaching about real estate investing exclusively to becoming a financial publisher to focus on alternative investments. And so with that, I built out this really great content calendar in Google Sheets. So I have a couple of media properties, 2 websites that, we focus on different things with regard to alternative investments. And I have one writer for one website and one writer for another website. And so I go in and just assign the topics on a weekly basis. Assign them whatever reports I want them to create. And then I also have a promotional calendar for myself where I talk about, okay, this week, this is going to be our in-house promotion of our own product to our list or a segment of our list. And then I also schedule our affiliate promotions out. I do one major affiliate promotion a month. And so I'll schedule those out in annual increments. So actually, I'm just putting the finishing touches on our 2018 content calendar. So it's content for each media property for each writer. It's a schedule of reports that I want to go out, and we usually do those quarterly. And then it's affiliate promotions and our own internal in-house promotions.
Interesting. So it sounds like a lot of it is planning things ahead of time and getting things done well in advance, so that way you're not just flying by the seat of your pants and always switching gears between all these different things.
Totally. And that was the thing I think that I was really missing in like years previous. I'd come into my office, I'd have a home office, but I'd come in here and I'd sit down And it's like all of a sudden I felt this weird feeling of overwhelm, like, oh God, I know I should be doing something. I should be writing something. I should be promoting something. I should be whatever. But it's like there's just so much that I could potentially do that then I go into overwhelm and then I just don't do anything. Right. So for me, the answer was let's just schedule it, like get this stuff on the calendar. And then I come in here to start my day, open up my, calendar, and I see, oh, okay, so this is the promotion that's launching today. This is the report that's due from this writer. This is the article that gets published to this blog. And it just takes away all of, that extra kind of angst that comes along with running a company like this. And it helps, make us a lot more prolific with regard to our content and consistent, which is one thing that I have found can definitely affect and impact sales in a very positive way, is when you're consistently putting great content out there and consistently promoting.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely. And so to get this all figured out, I mean, did this take a lot of trial and error to get all the bugs worked out, or was it just a real quick and easy thing?
Oh God, no. No, this is kind of a system that has, and basically a process that's been evolving for me at least over probably the last 4 years. In 2013, I had like my biggest year from a revenue perspective ever. And when I thought about what it was going to take to better that, right? So, you hit one goal and you think, okay, well, what's the next thing? Well, now we need to, instead of doing 1.5 million, we'll go to 2.5 million. It just felt really arbitrary and it felt really difficult. And so for me, I kind of retreated a little bit and thought, all right, I am going to focus on what I want to focus on. I'm going to change direction a little bit, and I'm going to put together this system of hopefully being able to focus on the things that I really want to talk about and the things that really get us the biggest bang for our buck, so that I don't end up being this business owner or this marketer that just throws a whole bunch of stuff at the wall and then just sees what sticks. And I felt like that was what it was going to be if I was, going to continue to grow and improve. I got to tell you, in that year that we had our big revenue performance, I was actually doing a lot of things in my business that I don't enjoy doing. Like we had big events, we'd have 300 people in a 3-day event at a ballroom and hotel somewhere. I was like doing all this high level coaching and charging people $1 bazillion for it. And I don't enjoy either of those things. So it was like, all right, if we're going to grow this company and I'm going to ditch the two things that have historically generated me the most revenue because I don't like doing them, then I need to figure out a plan pretty quickly to be able to consistently and effectively promote my stuff and other people's stuff so that I can make up for that lost revenue. And so that's basically why it evolved. And the way that it's evolved is just, continuing to just kind of tweak the system and tweak the process so that it works for everybody involved, me and my writers.
Well, fantastic. Yeah, and I think we can definitely relate to some of those problems in feeling like we have a lot of stuff going on, or there are some tasks that we don't want to do, and in needing to give up the task that makes the most money but gives us the least amount of joy, kind of a scary place to be.
Exactly. When you look at your business, you're like, oh my God, here are the two things that are creating the greatest amount of revenue, but these are the two things that I absolutely hate doing the most. That's a really scary place to be.
Yeah, I agree. So to continue doing the things that you do love, I mean, it sounds like you have to kind of keep your eye on the ball with all the things that you have going on. So how the heck do you stay motivated and focused? Do you have any really good secrets for that?
I think it starts with, just kind of continuing along this theme that we seem to be talking about right now, is just really focusing on doing what you love. One of the main reasons for my pivot away from teaching exclusively about real estate investing and raising capital is because I didn't love it anymore. Along with doing, those two things that were real great revenue drivers, I just honestly had been focused on real estate investing for like 23 years, and I was just sick of it. I was super bored. I wasn't motivated, and I could tell, if I'm like resisting something, that's usually a pretty good indication, internally, that I'm just not really into it and that maybe I should focus on something else. And so I just paid attention to that. And so it was like I had this public kind of business persona where I was all about real estate, but then in my kind of private, personal persona, real estate was just a very small part of what I was doing from an investing perspective. I was exploring all sorts of different things and having really great success with it. And those were the things that I was really excited about. So when I decided, let's just kind of shut down this real estate investing piece of the business and let's focus on expanding it to alternative investment opportunities, that's when I got really excited about it again, because I get to talk about cool things that I'm actually doing and making money from, like, investing in cannabis stocks, investing in startups via, public crowdfunding portals now, looking at ways that we can invest money in real estate opportunities that are more passive instead of active, like out there swinging a hammer or being a landlord. And those are the things that really light me up. And that was when my motivation kind of came roaring back. And that's what continues to keep me motivated today.
So were there any difficulties in that kind of reinventing yourself process and, dropping the real estate and teaching all these new things? Did it take a while to get that kind of picking up steam, rocking and rolling?
I can talk about this. I can answer this from a couple of perspectives. So, I have a decent sized list. We have, I think, about 60,000 people who have subscribed, to my stuff over the years and are active, openers of what we send out. And I kind of, I was kind of dropping hints about this for about the last year and a half. And so finally, about at the beginning of this year, 2017, I just reached out and I said, all right, everybody, here's how this business is changing. And, so everybody was on board that, okay, this is a new direction for us. Susan's going to, start teaching different things now, and she's retiring most of her real estate offerings. And I basically put out this call to them that said, look, this is the direction we're heading. If you want to stay on this train, I'm happy to have you. I can't wait to share this new stuff with you. But if you're still like hardcore real estate only, then here's some alternatives for you, and I wish you all the best. So, I think we had maybe less than 100 people leave the list, from that series of leave us if you're not on board for the alternatives. Now, with that said, that was good and people are responding to it because at the end of the day, people who want to invest in real estate really just want to make money, right? They're investors at heart. And so the feedback that I got from my list and my subscribers was, look, we don't care how we do it. We just want you to teach us how to make money. And so I was like, awesome, I got you covered. So that was the easy part. The difficult part was, I have this established website and a pretty well-trafficked blog, and it really had a real estate investing focus. And so now we're trying, to kind of turn the Titanic away from the iceberg of, search engine optimized for real estate investing and kind of re-optimize it for alternative investing. And that's proving to be a lot longer process than I had anticipated.
Interesting, and I can kind of relate to your journey, not 100%, but in a couple of ways. Like when right before we started talking, you said that you knew me from years back, and so
Yeah.
I kind of had a similar kind of problem where I got started teaching how to make web pages, how to add PHP and JavaScript code, how to add the geeky stuff to websites, and how to make products and do copywriting. But then it got to a point where a lot of web pages are point and click and templates and membership sites, and just add the plugins and things like that. And so I kind of had a similar situation where it was painful to let some of those sites go. And there's still a ton of old websites like those I still have to shut down, but then also having to kind of tell the list where I'm going, and then have that realization that, well, they don't really care so much what the tool is, just the thing they're trying to accomplish. People would buy things from me on how to make a web page convert better. Well, the modern day version of that, they still need to make the web page convert better. So I'll sell them, or I'll show them the tool and how to do it nowadays. But if I had been stuck in still teaching coding web pages, that just would have kind of slowly, maybe wouldn't have died right away, but would have slowly kind of withered away and died. And I imagine maybe similar situation with you with the real estate stuff. If more and more people hopped on teaching real estate, would have become harder to differentiate and everything that goes with that. Plus, your heart wasn't in it, so it was definitely time to change, it sounds like.
Totally. And you hit the nail on the head, Robert. And that is, I think it's such an important point to make. And it's what I kind of alluded to, but you really just nailed it. And that is that people really don't care what we're doing. They really don't. If I come out and say, hey, it's Susan, and today I'm doing this, they're like, delete, who cares, right? But if we reframe it and say, hey, it's Susan, here's what's happening now, and here's how it's going to benefit you. Well, now we've got their attention, right? And honestly, like everything can that I do and I've talked about for years and years can be boiled down to how can we invest our money and get back more money, right? Sending our little $1 bill soldiers out into the world and saying bring back like 3 or 4 or 5 POWs. That's what we're all about. And so it doesn't matter, I don't think, if I'm talking about real estate or if I'm talking about crowdfunding or if I'm talking about private lending or if I'm talking about cannabis stocks or any of the other alternative things that we invest in, it's all the same concept, right? What's in it for them? Well, what's in it for you is I'm going to show you how to take a little bit of money and turn it into a lot more money.
And what's the reasoning behind continuing the content marketing and the publicity and hopping on shows like this? Like if you have all this money and all these investments, why not play with the investments? Why do the kind of promotional side of the business as well?
Yeah. And isn't this the question that we always get?
Oh yeah.
I know. I think I've been answering this question for years and years ever since I started this. Well, two answers. First, I'm on this call today because you invited me, and I have a great deal of respect for you. You know, like you mentioned, we were talking before the call. I've been a fan of yours and a customer of yours for years and years, and you really were instrumental in helping me get my start. So I have a great deal of respect and admiration for you, and I wanted to kind of, return the favor in any way that I could. So thank you for that.
You're making me blush.
Oh, good. And secondarily, I love to teach. I went through this thing where I was like, what am I about? And kind of like, what are my values? And, what I can tell, when I'm kind of out of alignment. And when I got out of real estate investing training, it started to feel a little bit out of alignment. A lot of the guys were, promoting in kind of scammy ways. And I was like, ugh, this just doesn't resonate well with me. The whole kind of guru thing, that is not me. So I continue to teach and to share what I know and share what I do because that's one of my core values is knowledge, right? And teaching and generosity. So I just am excited about what I'm doing and I love sharing it with people. Now, here's the thing. In this financial publishing arena that I'm in now, I'll look at these people's investment newsletters and I'll always read, not always, but typically like 99% of the time at the bottom in the fine print, I'll see them say, we have no position in any of the companies that we are covering or, the holdings in our portfolio. And sometimes they'll even say like, this is a mock portfolio, like they haven't invested a penny of their own money. And I'm like, what a rip. Like, why would I want to follow somebody who's just giving me information I could get online, right? When the way that I share information about these financial opportunities is I have already invested a sizable chunk of my own personal money into these portfolios. And I'm not only sharing with you what has worked for me, I'm also sharing with you what hasn't worked for me. And so I'm doing it. I'm not just teaching it, but I absolutely love to share what I do and share what I know so that other people can get in on it too. It's just one of my core values.
Well, that's great. And it sounds like the way you described that, it sounds like there's a lot of added benefits to teaching what you know as well, because you get kind of the clarity on what you're doing. You keep up to date. You're not like, teaching or learning stuff that's 5 or 10 years out of date, because if people have to get your information now, you're making sure that it's the most cutting edge stuff. And then there's probably something in there about like the whole like reciprocity factor. Like it feels good to put stuff out there in the world and get stuff back. And I imagine that you've gotten, in addition to like, building your list and making money and all that stuff, I imagine that you've gotten some deals from this, right? Like has the content marketing, has it kind of led to other stuff in the other areas of your business?
Absolutely. And, this is actually one of the main reasons why I do this. It's a thing that I kind of coined, and kind of internally I refer to it as the cognoscente method, which, cognoscente just means expert. So when I position myself as an expert, and this is the way I would describe it when I was teaching real estate investing. It's like, look, I'm looking to invest in like real estate syndicates, like big multi-million-dollar syndicates. And if you have a deal, who are you going to bring it to, right? Are you going to bring it to just Joe Schmo that you met at a dinner party? Or are you going to bring it to, Susan Lassiter-Lyons, who has positioned herself as the expert in raising millions of dollars of capital for real estate? I'm going to get the deal. And, that's when, my real estate investment portfolio exploded to like 740 units as a result of, leads coming to me and me never, ever having to go out in search of a deal.
Awesome. So instead of you having to do cold calling or things like that, like the building up the other parts of like the internet side of things, that's your lead generation right there.
Totally. Absolutely. And so now that I'm kind of on the other side of it, right, not so much focused on real estate and we're branching out into like, funding startups as an angel investor and looking at cannabis companies and some of the more alternative things, I have people again coming to me because I'm the person who's positioned as the expert in this. And, I have the ability to invest my own money and I have the ability to, help them, promote whatever it is that they want to promote, whether it's some good news about their company or it's, a private investment opportunity that ordinary investors wouldn't have access to.
Well, cool. And so, I mean, what direction are you headed in right now? Like with all the stuff going on, are you going to continue on the same course? Are things going to get crazier? Are you going to simplify? I mean, what are your plans going forward?
Well, you've caught me at a time where it is like as simple as it's going to get, right? So I basically retired and shed all of those, kind of historical real estate investing courses and all those trainings. And right now I just have two core programs that I'm focused on, which seems like the weight of the world has been lifted from my shoulders. And in 2018, the plan is to release just three more, one each quarter, subscription investment newsletters under our publishing flag. And that's going to be it for the year. So it's easily managed. It's doing all of the same stuff that we love to do, covering cool opportunities, writing about it, sharing it with our subscribers. And, at the end of the year, we're going to look back like we are looking at this year and saying, hey, that was a fun year. We made a lot of money.
Super cool. And because you used the Google Sheets and the delegating and you got things done early and had all these deadlines set, you had the system in place so that way you didn't have to scramble. You just had it all in the pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you sit down at the desk. It's like, all right, here are my tasks for the day, right? Let's execute. And, on that quiet week in 2018 between Christmas and New Year's, we'll build another plan to hit it hard again in 2019. Same exact plan.
Well, super awesome. Well, in order for you to get from point A where you started and point B where you have things now, and you had all these ups and downs, but are there any kind of any huge mistakes or a number one mistake or failure that you look back on and either you wish you could have avoided or maybe you just learned a really important lesson from, anything like that?
Yeah, and it can be summed up with quit. Well, for me, the topic is external validation, right? So it's under that umbrella. And as an explanation, it was, quit thinking that other people know more and care more about my business than I do. I wasted a lot of time and a lot of money on very expensive coaches and business advisors who were trying to get me to build a business in the way that they wanted the business to be built, but it wasn't in alignment with what I wanted my business to be. And so, when I look back over the course of all of these years, it's like, man, if I could have that time back that I spent focusing on developing things that I knew were out of alignment with where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And certainly if I could have all that money back that I wasted on, people who didn't have the best interests of my company at heart, I would love to do that. But at the end of the day, it's like, quit seeking external validation, do you, and let the chips fall where they may. Other people can have their opinions, but nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to care more about your business and know more about your business than you.
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot, especially when I maybe 8 or 9 years ago. Well, actually, I maybe like a little over a decade ago when I had a day job and I only had one job my whole life, but it took me I say it took me 3 years to quit it. I was in it for 3 years, but during those years, there was always someone, like if I'd go to a conference or have someone in a mastermind, there was always someone who was during those 3 years kind of making fun of me for having that job. And then I found out years later that one of the people was retired. So what kind of skin did he have in the game? Someone else was kind of a stay-at-home dad, but like all these people had like these opinions at the time from very little information. They didn't know all the facts about what I had going on, and then I would consider that the source of that message to be like almost as important as if a close friend said it, when it was just someone in the rafters just with an opinion. So
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah. So
There you go.
I definitely can relate to that too, in maybe being a little insecure and then letting someone else's just lack of knowledge just totally either delay me or doubt myself and things like that. And I think we can all relate to that, to kind of being led off in the wrong direction and sometimes needing to just say no, and my plan doesn't agree with your plan. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense there.
Cool. Yeah. And it's interesting that we had that same experience. And I think it happens a lot. And I think that I think a lot of entrepreneurs are either not aware of it, right? Because we always, we're kind of trained to think, oh, well, if somebody else is giving me this information, they have to know some secret that I don't know, right? And that's kind of like the whole basis for this whole internet marketing thing. It's always like, ooh, this person has the secret to this and the secret to that, and we all want to know what the secret is. Well, here's the secret. And Robert, I bet you'll agree with this. There is no damn secret. Everybody's just winging it, and we're all trying to figure it out the best that we can. And the best advice is just do you, right? Nobody else's opinion should be valued more than yours.
But how do you know if you are in a bad relationship with a coach? How do you know if the advice you're getting is not good for you, if that's all you have?
Yeah, and that's the hard one. I'll tell you my answer, and other people are probably going to have a different answer. It took me a long time to realize it, and it took me a long time to figure it out. But at the end of the day, it was just about figuring out and getting super duper clear on what I wanted my company to be, and what I was comfortable doing and what I wasn't comfortable doing, and even more than that, what my vision and what my values are. And so when I, talk about that, I go back to that a lot because I use that as a touchstone. It's like, if I'm out of alignment, I'm going to lose motivation and I'm going to lose my drive, and it's going to be reflected in my results. When I am in alignment, then it's completely different, right? That's when we're off to the races. And so I can tell now, like when somebody is giving me advice, or if, they're sharing something with me, or if I'm getting pitched by some high-priced business coach to join their whatever, I just feel it. It's like, they want me to go in a direction that's completely different than the direction that I'm headed. And so, they can have their opinion and they're entitled to that. And I'm sure that they have great success in what they're doing, but that's not for me, because it doesn't fit with my vision and it doesn't fit with my values. So I really kind of trust my gut and I just stay the course. And I think that's one of the best reasons, right, to set this whole kind of, what I refer to as my content calendar up for the year, so that I know exactly what path I'm on. I know exactly what courses and programs and newsletters I'm going to be releasing. And so when something comes up like this, bright, shiny object, or, something out of left field to try to get me to change course, it's like, I'm not feeling that. This is where I'm set up to go, and this is what I'm doing. And unless it's going to explode tomorrow, I have absolutely no reason to change, because it'll be out of alignment with my vision.
That makes perfect sense, and that's pretty powerful. So get clear on what your vision and your values are, so that way if that opportunity comes, you can measure it with the gut and then say, how does that match up? And maybe a lot of people out there, maybe the problem is they don't know what those values are. They don't have the vision. They don't have the goals. So when they see an opportunity come in front of them, they treat everything equally, and so it's basically they're playing the lottery. They don't know which thing to jump on. Whereas if they had a goal, had a path, they could say, is this thing in front of me, is this helping me along on the path, or is this getting me distracted from the path?
Absolutely. And to illustrate that point, to tell you exactly how hardcore I am about this, real quick, I was at an event that I paid to attend. I live in Denver, and this was in Scottsdale, Arizona. We went to Scottsdale. I went to this event with a friend of mine, and in the first hour, the leaders of it said, we only want to work with people who want to build $100 million companies that are going to change the world. If all you're interested is building a dinky little $800,000 a year lifestyle business, this is not the place for you. and I packed up my stuff and I walked out because
Awesome.
I knew exactly that that was not the path I was on. I don't want to build $100 million business. I'm 52 years old, for Christ's sakes. I want to be able to have a life, right? I don't want to build a giant company at this phase in my life. Maybe if I was 20, sure, then I could have that big pie in the sky ideal. But I know the kind of company that I want, and I want to build a business that supports my lifestyle, not a lifestyle that I have to cram in around, some change the world business. So once you can get super duper like crystal clear on that, then it makes those kinds of decisions and actions really easy.
I love it. So that way the rest of the world doesn't dictate your life trajectory. You go out and you decide where you want to go. So I mean, we talked about all kinds of fun stuff, got super deep, and I want to make sure that everyone listening knows where to go to find out all the things you got going on, and knows like who they should be. I mean, what kind of person do you want checking out your websites today?
Yeah. So anybody who's interested in learning how to invest in alternative opportunities, right? So over at my main website, my hub website, it's called theinvestorinsights.com. So it's investorinsights.com. We rely really and focus on 4 categories of alternative investing. It's crowdfunding, private lending, some passive real estate stuff, and also alternative stocks. And so if any of those topics interest you, if you're looking for a way to, kind of develop what we refer to as push button profits by just investing your dollars with a computer and then sending those dollars out to bring you back 3, 4, or 5 more, then that's the place for you. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a great thing to do and a great place to be. So theinvestorinsights.com if you want to check out those 4 areas of investing. And I mean, I hope that you guys listening and gals listen to this interview again and again, because there were a lot of great insights and things that we can all relate to, whether it comes to building a business or coming across those failures or having doubt or whatever, or even just dealing with the mess and the chaos and trying to have a little bit of order from that. So that way we can be basically not spewing out, but we can be putting out those things out onto the internet, whether that's, ads or content or whatever we're doing to get leads coming in. There's all kinds of different tasks that we need to be doing, but there's never enough time in the day to do it all. So we need to pick our battles. We need to have some kind of organization, have some kind of a system. So I hope that getting tuned into Susan's thinking here made a lot of sense to you. And so make sure that you listen to this episode if you've ever had, again and again, if you've ever had any difficulties with the mindset or the motivation or the productivity. There are lots of great little nuggets here. And most importantly, make sure to check out theinvestorinsights.com to check out those 4 buckets, and you'll be really glad that you did. And I want to thank you, Susan, for stopping by and sharing some really personal, emotional, raw stuff, but also sharing a lot of the things that you did great that a lot of people can pick up and learn from. So I appreciate that a lot, and I appreciate you as well.
You bet. And right back at you, Robert. Thanks so much for having me. And hey, cheers to continued success.
Attention. It's time to make your computer work for you. If you struggled getting the most out of every day, getting your computer, your website, and your business to make you money while you sleep, please take a quick look at our book, The Checklist Mindset, www.checklistmindset.com.